understand the nature in classroom teaching, to understand development characteristics at different stage, to identify individual differences among the students, to develop effective teaching methods and techniques, to understand the nature of classroom teaching learning process, to identify the needs and problems of children, provide knowledge of mental health, to understand the principles of curriculum's construction and weighting textbooks, to develop knowledge and skills of measuring learning outcomes, to develop understanding and skill techniques of motivation and reinforcement, to understand and learning theories and learning conditions, to understand and deal with problems of discipline among children, to develop knowledge of audio, visuals, aids, and use in classroom teaching, to develop competencies for administration, preparing timetable, and organizing activities. The nature of education subject is both theoretical as well as practical. Rose has started in his book Groundwork of School. Characteristics of education. There are several objectives, functions, and educational psychology. The main objectives may be summarized into four categories: to provide understanding and skills related to teaching, to provide guidelines to the teachers to solve problems, to assist teachers for understanding educative process scientifically, to to develop a spirit and attitude of inquiring for professional growth and development. Content of educational psychology. Individual differences. Individual differences of learners. Growth and development of children, personality, intelligence. क्या हो गया? ऊपर चढ़ना है। नोज़ी आ रही है आपके? ये ले नोज़ी साफ करो। सोना है? हाँ। आजा। मस्ती तो नहीं करेगा तू? सो जा। कंटेंट फॉर एजुकेशनल साइकोलॉजी। कहाँ भाग के जा रहा है अब? सो जा तो फिर। Educational psychology is the applied aspect of education. Educational psychology answers the main question: how learning teaching can be made effective. The answer of this question consists of the content of educational psychology or scope of educational psychology. The content of educational psychology can be broadly classified into these main heads: individual difference of learners, teaching learning process, measuring learning outcomes. तो इंडिविजुअल लर्नर्स डिफरेंसेस जो हैं लर्नर्स के, ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन, डिफरेंसेस ऑफ लर्नर, अच्छे डिफरेंट लर्नर्स के लिए क्या क्या उनके इंडिविजुअली कैसे रहता है, तो ग्रोथ और डेवलपमेंट किसी सभी चिल्ड्रंस की ग्रोथ डेवलपमेंट डिपेंड करती है उनकी इंडिविजुअल डिफरेंसेस पे। इंडिविजुअलिटी, इंटेलिजेंस एंड क्रिएटिविटी, मेंटल हेल्थ पे डिपेंड करते हैं। Characteristics of exceptional children and needs and inspirations. teaching learning process. अच्छा, psychology teaching learning process, relationship of teacher and learning theories of teachers, concept of motivation and reinforcement, factors affecting learning, factor transfer of learning conditions and effective learning problems and guidance, and role of teacher in learning process, measuring learning outcomes, concept of measurement and evaluation, methods of measurement of individual differences, achievement and diagnostic test, and analyzing data using statistical leaching, methods of educational psychology. Every science needs the help of methods for the study of its problems. So, educational psychology. Educational psychology is also a science, so it has many methods of study, like other social sciences. These methods have their merits and demerits on the basis which they are used. The important method of educational psychology are as follows. फर्स्ट क्या है इंट्रोस्पेक्शन मेथड द वर्ड इंट्रोस्पेक्शन मीन्स लुक विद इन so it is such a method on which a person observes his mental method condition, ins- inspects its own mental activity, and compares the knowledge of his own experiences. Stout says that introspection is to study one's mind's activity in the orderly way. Characteristics of introspection method. In it, a person has to observe his own mental processes. पर्सन की खुद की ऑब्जर्व उसका खुद का माइंड प्रोसेस in it a person has to think about his own mental process मतलब एक पर्सन को खुद को सोचना होता है उसकी खुद की मेंटल प्रोसेसेस को in it a person has to express the experiences of his mental processes himself. Merits of introspection method. By this method, a person directly studies his own mental experiences, by which he can understand his true form. The bliss that a student gets on getting the first division can be understood by introspection alone. Special tools and aids are not needed to use this method. Special tools and aids are not needed to use this method. The use of this method is simple. It can be used at any time, any place, and under all circumstances. This method can be used for comparative study of problems. Sorry. This method can be used for comparative study of a problem, comparing the results of a study arrived at by using two methods can lead to reliable conclusions. This method is helpful in analyzing the results obtained by using other methods. Limitations of introspection method. This method is subjective and individual. So it can be scientific method can perceive the feelings of another person. Mental activities are unstable and unchangeable. The study and introspection of which the human behavior keeps changing every moment, so it becomes difficult to study his behavior by his method. Several secret things of a person cannot be analyzed by this method because generally a person feels a shyness and hesitation to reveal some of his feelings. We cannot study the unconscious mind by this method. There is no similarity between the studies conducted on two different persons. Rose has stated in this regard that introspection is influenced by subjectivity. That is, its results depend on the observer and it cannot be verified by another observer. Under this method, the observer has to act as the subject as well as experimenter, which is not logical. Extrospection method. In the extrospection method, the observer studies in the mental processes of another person. This method depends on observation. Experiment with the help of this method, the observer describes and analyzes the external and internal behavior of a person. Observation of a person's behavior, experiences of a person's behavior, analyzing of a person's behavior on the basis of experiments. Type of extrospection. Formal extrospection. Under formal extrospection, the behavior is observed under controlled circumstances. Informal extrospection. Under formal extrospection, behavior is observed without any previously determined program. Sudden extrospection. Under sudden extrospection, behavior is suddenly observed. Ordered extrospection. Under ordered extrospection, behavior is studied regularly according to determined program. Merits of extrospection method. This is an objective method. A person's activities and behaviors can be studied objectively. Several children can be studied by this method.